Hello. It feels like a very long time. Well, it is a very long time. I'm doing something very easy today just to ease myself back into YouTube because it has been such a long time. And also I've been challenged by Jessica Rapp to take part in the top 10 crafty question challenge. Now, I've tried to film this a few times and craft and answer questions at the same time. It's not happening. So I'm going to do the craft and then I'll answer the questions at the end. So if you're too bored, you don't have to listen to me answer them. That's what I'm thinking. Anyway, there's so many videos at the moment on envelopes, although I haven't really seen many because I haven't been on YouTube much for the last month. And I apologise to everybody who I'm subscribed to and haven't left you comments or watched. Just haven't been able to. And I'm going to show you what we're going to need for this little project, which has probably been done a million times already. It's very, very heavily inspired by obviously Rachel from Moxie Creations, Wendy, Wendy's Journals Adventures, and of course Jess, who did an envelope, which is kind of why I wanted to do this actually. Now you're going to need two kind of envelopes and they could be any colour you wanted. I'm using these ones because they're just kind of what I had. These come from Paper Chase. Anybody in the UK, they're craft envelopes. I do have these, and if I was decorating today I would use these because these are much thinner, lightweight, and they're not going to be too bulky in a journal. But because I'm not decorating, I'm going to use these. So you're going to need two envelopes. This is kind of optional. 2-inch hole punch, corner chomper. I've got a bone folder, my glue, metal ruler, some thread and a pair of scissors. And this again is optional. You could use your scissors for what I'm going to use that for. But let's get going. Let's make something. Thank you to everybody who's messaged me. I have missed you all, and I'm very, very glad to be kind of back at it. I just seem to have, just got viruses, one after another. But it's all good now. I don't want to say that out too loudly because every time I say that, So I'm just gluing this first envelope shut. So we start with a sealed envelope. Easy peasy. I'm just gonna trim the top or the sides of this envelope. The reason I started this idea was I was going to make it from scratch, but then I thought actually I can do it with other envelopes because I have so many. Jessica used some document envelopes, so they had the flap at the top. And I've not seen any around locally. I know Jess sent me some. They're a bit longer than these, but because my journals are, they're not massive, so I just decided I'd try and do it with envelopes. So I've got the gap or the flap, the pocket top and bottom. First thing I'm going to do is just fold a flap. Probably, what have we got? Not quite 2 inches. It's about 1 3/4 inches. Is how I've folded mine. And this is an envelope that fits a standard A4 sheet of paper in. We know it's folded a letter, so I'm not I don't know what this is called. It would just fit an A4 sheet of paper. Now to stop the bulk, I'm just going to open this out where I've put that crease in. I'm going to leave about 1/2 centimetre or I don't know, 1/4 inch and just make a cut, and the same the other side. Doesn't have to be perfect because this is not going to be seen. And then I'm just going to cut out that flap, and it just reduces quite a lot of bulk. One, from the crease, it makes it a lot easier to fold. I just got, I was folding these envelopes and getting so much bulk, and it was all kind of crunching up, and I just thought, what can I do? I'll cut that out. And that's what I did. There you go, cut that out. So part 2 is take your second envelope. I'm not going to seal this one, and we need 2 parts to this envelope. So the first thing I'm doing is I'm just lining this up on my board. I'm going to use my metal ruler, but you could completely, you know, just draw a line and cut this with scissors. Just going to quickly go across there with it. Be very careful, because this happens quite a lot to me. I have my finger kind of hanging over, and I constantly seem to slice my left finger. Okay, so this is the first piece we're going to need. Okay, so you need this. I'm just going to put that aside for a second, and this is the second piece we're going to need. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put this in here for a second, just slightly above my crease. Fold that up. And I'm going to, actually, let's do this a better way. Let's do it a better way. I'm going to do the flap first. This is the mistake I made last time, and I'll show you the mistake I made. Let's go back to this flap. So ignore the other bit for a minute. We've got our pocket here, and we've got this piece. Now we've got our crease. We need that crease, but I want to cut the sides off, and I want to cut it as close to that crease as I possibly can. So we just want a tiny sliver off either end. I'm really hoping this one's going to work out much better than the last one. Okay, and open that up. Now, you've got a side which doesn't, you know, it's not square, and you've got your nice, neat square one. So on the side that's not square, I'm just going to make that a bit shorter and cut a flap either side. Okay, so this is part one. This is going to be our flap. I'm going to take my corner chomper and just chop these off. Okay, and I'm gonna, now if you wanted to decorate this, you would do this all before you installed it or constructed it even. I'm gonna just take that little piece off there, I don't want that. So I'm just gluing the flap. So I've glued that piece, okay, and I'm gonna, no, what I'm gonna do before I glue that down, see, things have not changed. I still just gonna put my little chomped corner out of there. I'm gonna slide this in here. Nice. Okay, now as you can see, that's actually really neat. It does look like a crease. It doesn't actually look like a join. As long as can you see there's a teeny weeny bit here where I cut a little bit too far over, but that's fine. So we've got our flap at the bottom and we've got our flap at the top. So I'm just gonna do my little chompy bit out of here like that. So what you would do is you would decorate all of this before you put it together. I'm just going to show you a way of constructing this. So now we've got our additional piece of envelope. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in just above that crease so I can still fold this up easily. Okay, and I'm just going to close this, because what I don't want to do is cut my little semicircle out and have it show under the flap, which is the mistake I made with the first one. So what I want is, I haven't got a pencil to hand, so I'm just going to grab a pen. I'm just going to kind of work out roughly where I want to cut. Let's go there. Just going to put a little line there. Line my open envelope up, and it is the closed side I want to cut off. Put that there. Make sure that's going to be square when I cut it. So I do hope you guys have all been well. Okay, I think my blade's getting a little bit on the blunt side. Okay, so we've now got this. I'm going to put a little nick in there, like so. And I'm going to cut the majority of this off. I'm going to leave a little flap so I can glue this to my envelope. Okay, so far so good. So this will go in here, this will close, and that will close, and this will cover this up. Okay, so we'll have 1, 2, 3 pockets. This one is kind of not necessary, but this is what I'm going to use to hold the closure. Okay, so now I want to put holes for my closure. So I'm going to make sure this is lined up where I'm going to want it to go. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it needs to be fairly even. Now I'm just going to use my board as a guide. I'm not measuring. Okay, so I'm going to put a dot halfway there. See if that's in the middle. This is not my centre ruler. So what have we got? We've got 11 centimetres, so I want roughly 5.5. That was not far out actually. Pretty good, pretty good. And then I want 5.5 roughly here too. There we go. So we've got our 2 dots. Hopefully you can see those, but there we go. Right, now I've got lots of spare envelope, but I'm just going to try and grab a piece of card. So I'm going to go craft card, and I want my, oh, don't know if I told you you'd need this one as well. I'm going to use quite a large punch. This is a inch hole punch. Just going to punch out a couple of these. Got my brad. Let me find my, grab one of those. Now this one we're just going to literally attach straight to our envelope, and I'm going to do one either side. So I'm going to put my circles on top of each other, find the centre, doing it roughly by eye. I'm going to put a hole in those. Not far off, and I'm going to put a hole in here. So my flap. Now this is just kind of a bit of a sandwich. No, of course I've done it wrong, haven't I? Yes, done it wrong. No, I haven't. No, I haven't. Ignore me. So one there, and then this on the back, because this envelope is fairly lightweight, even though it's thicker than the other one. So I'm going to go for 2 in here. Actually, what I should have done is close this and glue the other one over the top. So pretend I haven't put a hole in that one. Actually, I'll just cut a new one. See, things are never going to change. It doesn't matter. Best laid plans. I'm just going to close that. There we go. So that's closed. Make myself another circle, and this I probably should grab my Fabri-Tac for. I'm just going to glue the back of this, and this craft card that I have, I don't know if it's the same everywhere, but there's a good side, nice colour, and then there's a buff, a little bit more of a buff colour. And this might not be perfect, but I'm going to glue roughly over the other circle. I'm just going to hold that down for a second or two. So this is open, and then that's just covering up that hole. If you were decorating, you could of course add a strip of paper over the whole flap. This is just for demonstration purposes, to give you some ideas, give you more ideas for more envelopes, because there's not enough envelope ideas out there. Now this one I can use here, so that's not a problem, didn't waste that. Put a hole in. Another brad. These brads are probably not the best ones either, because they've got quite a domed top, if you can see. So they're not the easiest of brads to use. Now obviously, like I said, you decorate and you can add all your fancy papers and things. Now for this one, come on. Oh my daisies, so close together. There we go. Done it. Done it. Okay, so for this one, all I'm going to do is I'm just going to glue a piece of the envelope scrap to that, because it doesn't have to be aesthetically pleasing. Want to make sure that's glued very well into. Oh no, I just put glue on my keyboard. Let's pop that down, just give that a rub down. It's just to hide that brad, because if you put anything into the pocket, it's going to catch on that, and we don't want that to happen. So that's the inside. Just make sure that's nicely held down, and then we're going to glue this into place here. So we're just going to glue the flaps, of course. So not quite to that crease, because we don't want it to hinder folding that flap up, but we want to make sure we've got a nice flush edge on either side of the envelope. So it certainly helps using the same size envelope. Then we can close the bottom flap or pocket. Bit of Fabri-Tac. Make sure that's right to the edge. Close that. A little bit of seepage. Okay, so that's what we've got. I'm just gonna grab my twine. Hopefully I haven't made that too small. Just tie. That's my first knot. And then I've just brought it underneath and tied another knot, and this is where I'm going to tie this one as a double. So I know this is going to be nice and secure. Okay, little scissors, I'm just going to chop that there. I'm not worried about having a little bit hanging, but then this will now close that envelope. So like I said, this is kind of just an idea. There's probably numerous videos that are similar. You can obviously cut this as long or as short as you like. You could pop a bead on it if you wanted. That would be quite sweet. You could add tabs. You can use it as a flap. And this, you've obviously got a nice back. The front, where we had, you know, the original envelope creases and folds and things, you've only got a little bit here and here showing. So let's have a look, make sure but you've obviously got, this is only paper, not card, but you've got your pocket here that you could pop something in. You've got another pocket here, and then you've got a little pocket at the front which will show whatever bits and pieces, tea cards, little things like that, tags would look quite sweet in there. So there you go, finally I've done a video, yay! Very, very quickly I'm going to answer these 10 questions. One of them I'm kind of going to refuse to answer, but number one, what's my name? So my name is, it's Tracy Fox Creative, which is obviously my main name, which is what the Taxman has, my business name, because I did lots of other things. But my YouTube channel is Love Junk Journals, and so is my Etsy shop. Number two, how did I come up with my YouTube name? One evening, having a conversation with my other half about what we're going to call the shop, or I'm going to call the shop and my Etsy store, and he used to play bass in a band called Love Junk, so it just seemed right to put journals at the end, so it became Love Junk Journals. Number three, what's my favourite craft? Anything paper related, mixed media, I love it all. Number four, favourite place to shop for craft supplies. I've got to say my favourite place is a local craft store called Craftability, and I know one of the ladies there watch, so hello. Yeah, Craftability. I like to shop local if I can. If I can't get anything that I'm looking for particularly from there, then I will go to Amazon, usually for my Tim Holtz stuff. Number five, top 5 crafty YouTube channels. I don't have 5, I have hundreds. There's too many. Can't answer that question. I'm really, really sorry. Number 6, my favourite colour, red. Number 7, my favourite tool to craft with, I've got to say, is between 2, my tear ruler or my sewing machine. Number 8, where do I get my crafty love from? It's my mum and dad. My mum used to make everything when we were kids. She made my dolls, she made my dolls' clothes. My dad would make my doll's house, and my mum would make everything to go in it. And my dad is also a painter, a very good one too. I wish I could paint like my dad. So yeah, my parents. When did I start crafting? As soon as I could hold a pencil and a pair of scissors, is the answer to that question. And what's been my favourite craft so far? I do love the journals. I do love making the journals, but then obviously my background is probably more with the digitals. I do love the digitals, but I wouldn't really call that a craft. So yeah, definitely the journals. So that's my 10 questions answered. Thank you for watching. I'm really sorry I've been away for so long, but I do promise, I keep saying it, I will be back with a bit more often, a bit more regularly. Lots and lots of things that I want to do and haven't been able to do over the last month, so I really have a lot to get through. I hope you are all well. I hope you're faring the autumn better than I did, because the weather has got very cold very quickly. I have missed you all. Thanks for watching. See you later. Bye.